Hi, I'm Winter, and sorry, I'm practicing my Sonic the Hedgehog player impression. See, a few months ago I played Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and I decided that before I played the sequel I had to truly immerse myself in the pure essence of Sonic the Hedgehog, and that essence can most accurately be described as
After Sonic the Hedgehog's massive success, it followed that there would be a sequel, I guess. Sega actually didn't want a sequel right away despite Sonic Team really wanting to make one. That is until Sega saw the cash rolling in from Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and realized,
holy shit, I love money.
So Sega gave the green light for a sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog. However, at the same time, Yuji Naka, the head of Sonic Team, quit at Sega over disagreements regarding his salary. This obviously put a wrench in Sonic 2, until Mark Cerny asked Yuji Naka to join Sega Technical Institute, a branch of Sega in North America that aimed to unite developers from both Japan and the United States. So Yuji Naka quit Sega to join Sega. So Sonic 2 was developed by STI, and oh boy, I'd bet money they want to change that acronym. Sonic 2 started development in late 1991, and this game has a ton of interesting stuff regarding cut content. This isn't really what I'm talking about here, but I mean, come on, you're expecting me to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and not mention that there used to be a level called Genocide City Zone?
For kids.
Hidden Palace Zone is the most popular cut level, though. It's still playable in the game if you consider this playable. It was also added in a fully playable state in the HD version of Sonic 2 made for mobile devices, developed by Christian Whitehead, which, while really neat, isn't the version of Sonic 2 I'm going to be playing. Now, once again, I'm going to be playing on the waste of $30 that is the Sega Genesis Classics collection. I like the aesthetic and I really appreciate the rewind feature, even if I'll probably never play it again after this. Another thing Sonic 2 really focused on was the fact that Sonic wasn't alone anymore. No, on this adventure you'd have a cute little fox with two tails following him around named Miles Tails Prower, or Tails if you're a person with any morals. They also added a new move, the Spin Dash, which allows Sonic to pick up a ton of speed no matter where he is in a level. This was overall looking to be a big improvement on the first game. Sonic 2 released on November 24, 1992 in North America and Europe, with the day being dubbed Sonic Tuesday. Except in Japan, because I guess they didn't appreciate true comedy over at Sega of Japan. No more wasting time, let's just get into it. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Right off the bat, the game starts off exactly the same, except this time Sonic violates traffic laws before the iconic Sega chorus. The logo is also pretty similar, except this time it features not only Sonic, but a tumor as well. Alright, no hate to Tails, but really, he's a huge annoyance in this game, and I'm going to be making fun of him the whole time. There's two modes in this game. Obviously, we're going to be focusing on the one that isn't stupid and shitty, but there is a multiplayer mode. One player controls Sonic, the other controls Tails with an identical moveset to Sonic. I really hate the way this mode was executed. The game is in split screen, but it's not split vertically, it's split horizontally, which leads to the game looking like this. It's just gross, and I really can't stand looking at it, much less playing it. This is just footage of one of the game's demos. Anyway, what's the story on this one? Okay, so Dr. Eggman is plotting world domination using the Chaos Emeralds in this armored space station called the Death Egg. Sonic and Tails chase him to West Side Island and have to reach and destroy the Death Egg. That's it. The game starts you right off at Emerald Hill Zone because subtlety be damned. This level is really pretty. Look at all the colors. This level is pretty much more of Green Hill Zone from the first game. Not much going on here aside from these stupid robot monkeys that are in the way. I do also think there's a lot more instances of stupid design choices here than Green Hill, like this little spike trap that just appears out of the floor that hit me more times than I care to say. This level is the first exposure to the fact that this game is really f***ing fast. I mean, Sonic 1 was definitely faster than most platformers from the time, at least in 2 or 3 levels, but Sonic 2 saw that and said, yeah, okay. Seriously, you won't see it in my gameplay because my reaction times are awful and this game is very reliant on reaction times, but Sonic can go so fast in this game that the camera literally can't keep up. It's genuinely fascinating to see this game be played in a speedrun. I think I'm gonna say I like Emerald Hill less than Green Hill Zone, but that might just be because Green Hill is so iconic. The music, at least, is significantly better here, though. I don't generally find Genesis games to have great music, mostly because I was a Nintendo kid, so these playthroughs are really my first exposure to a lot of it, and I'm definitely not disappointed. Another thing I love about this game compared to the first is that most levels are split into only 2 acts instead of 3. This makes it so there's more variety in the places you're going, and makes it so you can get through the game at a much better pace. The boss here is Dr. Eggman with a car. This is genuinely less difficult than any of the bosses in the first game, and that game had some pathetic bosses. He just kinda drives back and forth, the only threat is this drill that he launches before the final hit, but as long as you know it's coming, it's just pathetically easy. The next level is Chemical Plant Zone, and this is it. This is the level that stopped me as a kid when I first played Sonic 2 on Sonic Mega Collection. Playing it now? This is super easy, but I also do see why I found it so bad as a kid. There's this purple water, and guess what? It's the same as the purple water in Scrap Brain Zone from the first game. If you're under the water for too long, this stressful song starts playing and you have 5 seconds to either get air or die. The most stressful time when this comes into play is this part where the water rises and you have to climb on these moving platforms to get to air as the water rises. Once again, this is very easy now, but when I was an anxious little baby brain, this was terrifying and I could never make it. This level has one of my favorite songs from any game ever though. Seriously, I can't think of many songs in games more awesome than Chemical Plant. Boss is Robotnik again, but I can't really tell what the gimmick is. He just floats over some pits, I guess. This is another ridiculously easy fight. Next is Aquatic Ruin, and this level is really, really bad. The first thing I noticed is that the plants in front of Sonic interact really weirdly with the level background. It's incredibly hard to tell which is which, and that just makes it hard to pay attention to the level. Seriously, half my mistakes in this level were caused by me being distracted by how bad the level looks. The other half were caused by the fact that it's a Sonic water level. Sega really chose to go for 2 in a row in this game. The difference between this level and Chemical Plant as water levels, though, is that this level loses any sense of fun once you go underwater. Although honestly, this level isn't even fun if you avoid the water, it's just a slog. These arrows in the level are next to impossible to see with everything else going on screen, like the aforementioned foreground and background mixing together. There are also these enemies that pop out of the wall, and I hate it. The boss here is slightly more clever, but also just as annoying as the rest of the level. These arrows get lodged in the pillars, and you have to use them to climb up and hit Robotnik. The issue is the arrows are still really hard to see because of the background. This boss is not hard, just frustrating and annoying. Casino Night Zone is next, and this level's aesthetic is everything I want in a level. Seriously, gambling! It would go so well on my list of addictions along with alcohol and yelling f***. This level is okay. The aesthetic is definitely the most memorable thing about it, but there's also this big slot machine in the middle of each act that lets you just play pinball and slots. It's pretty neat. Usually levels' themes are just to set them apart from each other, you know? Aquatic Ruin didn't have to be a ruin, it could have been like a water park. But Casino Night does things with its concept that could only work in the setting of a casino. The boss of this level is way harder than the ones up to this point. Eggman flies around and you have to play pinball in order to hit him in the right place at the right time. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but more often than not I found myself just getting caught in the same spots over and over again, then getting hit by these bombs that he drops. Eventually I beat this and then got sent into the most forgettable level in the game for me. Hilltop Zone is just Emerald Hill with more blue, caves, and lava. I genuinely can't think of anything interesting to talk about here. The music is great, but like, the first sentence I said about this level describes all my thoughts about it. The boss is a harder version of the second boss in the Master System version of Sonic 1. It's weirdly specific, but really fitting considering how Hilltop Zone is just Emerald Hill Zone 2. Mystic Cave is a neat looking level, but it gives me major Marble Zone vibes. I'm not saying it's as bad as Marble Zone, far from it just gives me those same vibes. It's more exploration-based levels. These little lantern enemies are annoying because they blend in with the actual lanterns in the level, but otherwise this is just a nice, moderately paced level. I'm definitely of the opinion that if Sonic is too fast, the game becomes less fun as a result. But if the game devolves into more platforming than going fast, that also makes it less fun. Mystic Cave Zone gets so close to getting a good balance between the two, but it comes just too short with the platforming. There's a few points in this level where you have to grab these vines to lower bridges, but if you jump and miss the bridge, you have to go backwards a while to unload that part of the level, then come back and try again. It just gets tedious if you're impatient like I am. This time Robotnik comes with a big power drill. This boss is, once again, easy, but this one is easy in a way that isn't too easy. Every few seconds, Eggman drills into the ceiling and a bunch of debris falls, which you have to avoid. I genuinely found this boss to be really fun, and I wish there were more like it in the game. After Mystic Cave is Oil Ocean and Oil Spill.
I guess the BP sponsorship fell through.
Oh God, I hate this level. This level evokes the feeling of a desert level without being a desert level, and if you want to know my thoughts on desert levels, you need only look at my business card. Seriously, the music here is desert level music. You cannot convince me otherwise. There's just as much shit here to slow you down as there is in a desert level. The oil at the bottom of the level is the same mechanically as quicksand in most platformers. This just isn't fun. This level is a bunch of areas where I had to stop and think for a second about how things work, which isn't really what I'm looking for in a Sonic game. I also feel like this level should have been after Chemical Plant, not only so it could be out of the way sooner, but because it's pretty similar conceptually, you know? Go from a chemical plant to an oil spill. Makes sense to me. The boss here is really just a longer version of the boss in Hilltop Zone, just with an added laser that wastes time. I think this fight would be better if the goal was something like, you know, aiming the laser at Robotnik instead of just making you avoid it for way too long between hits, because this boss still takes 8 hits, like every other boss in this series so far for some reason. After Oil Ocean, you're drag kicking and screaming to Metropolis Zone. This is by far the worst level I've ever played in a 2D platformer, I mean that sincerely. The main gimmick is that there are these gears that you spin by running on them, either going up or down depending on your direction. This isn't bad on its own, and it's actually a pretty clever idea, until you factor in these starfish motherfuckers. They shoot projectiles in 5 directions if you get close to them, or sometimes they don't, just for kicks. These things line the walls when you're using these gears, and avoiding them is way too hard. Seriously, you have to run right to get the gears to go up, and in order to avoid the starfish's attack, you have to start running left with near frame perfect precision just to avoid one of the 3 to 5 of these fuckers that usually line the walls. There are also these enemies on the ground that the Sonic community seems to hate called slicers. I don't have a ton of trouble with them, but when you do get hit by them, it feels like the end of the world. They have ridiculous range on their attack, and I can definitely see they could get annoying without the rewind button. I think it's pretty funny that once they use their attack, they just kinda sit there looking pathetic because they literally can't do anything anymore. Anyway, once you beat Act 2, you move on to Act 3.
What the
Yeah, it wasn't enough for them to put the worst level in the game immediately after the second worst level in the game. They also had to make it be 3 acts long for no reason.
I'm pretty sure that qualifies as a crime in some countries.
Seriously, what is the purpose of this? Nothing new is introduced in Act 3. It's just here to make the level more drawn out and awful to play. Whatever. The boss here is Dr. Robotnik shielding himself with a bunch of mini Robotniks. You basically have to wait until he launches enough Eggman at you that you're actually able to hit him without taking damage. Another easy boss that's way too drawn out, basically. After that is Sky Chase Zone, and this zone is pathetic in comparison to the hell the game just put me through. The controls here are weird. Tails moves the plane based on your directional inputs, but you're also controlling Sonic separately. The music here is really peaceful for some reason. It's just a really pleasant experience coming off of Metropolis Zone. But then you get to Winged Fortress and Tails fucking dies. Seriously, he gets shot down and you have to go through the level of Sonic on his own. Although Tails still shows up for special stages. Winged Fortress is kinda boring. There's a couple cool parts, like this part where you're swept up by the wind and you have to hang on by these panels. Once you reach the end, the boss actually isn't Robotnik this time, it's this shitty laser. The only challenge of this boss fight is that the platforms you have to use have spikes on the bottom. This makes this fight incredibly frustrating and just not fun at all. The rest of the level is genuinely pretty cool, I just don't like the boss. After this level, Sonic grabs onto Robotnik's space shuttle, which takes him to the Death Egg. The Death Egg is the final level, and I honestly really like it. You fight this robot Sonic first without any rings, and while I think the lack of rings is genuinely a stupid design decision, this fight is fair and fun enough that it's fine. After destroying Mecha Sonic, Sonic chases Robotnik, who is apparently equally as fast as Sonic. He jumps into the true final boss, the Death Egg robot. There's still no rings, and this boss is kinda garbage. You can only jump into certain parts of its body, other parts will deal damage, and since you don't get rings, any hits mean instant death. The main issue is that there's no clear indicator of what part of the body will or won't do damage. You'll end up getting a lot of stupid deaths because jumping in a part that worked once just won't work the second time. It's a bad boss fight. It also doesn't help that it takes a ton of hits. I don't know how many exactly, but it's definitely more than 8. Once you finish that, the Death Egg explodes with Dr. Robotnik still in it. Sonic's fate seems uncertain until Tails saves him with a plane that he apparently repaired in like 20 minutes. There's also a different ending where Sonic becomes Super Sonic and saves himself if you completed all 7 special stages, but I honestly think the Tails ending is better. I mean, Tails may be a little twerp in this game, but I think this ending acknowledges his part in the game a lot better. Okay, anyway, so speaking of the special stages, these. This is the first instance of the use of the dreaded half pipe. You have to collect a certain amount of rings by each checkpoint while avoiding hitting these bombs. The issue is, who would have thought? Tails! Tails follows Sonic's movements, but he has a delay, so if Sonic dodges the bombs at the last second, Tails won't, so he'll lose whatever rings he collected, screwing you over. This makes these stages require a ridiculous amount of memorization. Your prize at the end of each one is a Chaos Emerald. Once you collect all 7, you get the ability to transform into Super Sonic after collecting 50 rings in a stage. This is a much faster version of Sonic with invincibility, however your rings drain every second. Once you hit 0 rings, you turn back into boring Sonic and can only turn back once you get 50 more rings. Super Sonic genuinely is a great reward, making the game ridiculously easy as long as there are no pits around. The issue is, he's just not worth the effort of trying to memorize all 7 of these bullshit special stages. The only time I've ever turned into Supersonic in this game is when I used the sound test cheat that allows you to use Supersonic from the beginning of the game. Overall, I think Sonic 2 is a huge improvement to Sonic 1, however, I still don't really think this is a great game. Don't get me wrong, the game has a lot of great things, especially sprite work and music. I just feel like with a lot of the level design, they fell into the same traps they did with Sonic 1. It's definitely a major improvement, they just have a long way to go.
If there's one good thing I can say about Sonic 2 that carried over from the first game, Sonic shoes are still cool.